Layla Odinga was 28 and full of dreams, living in the busy streets of Lagos, Nigeria. She had started her own tech company, Amani Solutions, from nothing. Every late night, every long weekend, and every challenge she faced had built her company into something incredible. Within just 3 years, Amani Solutions was helping small businesses across West Africa grow, and it was becoming one of the fastest-growing startups in the region. Layla loved her work. It wasn't just a job. It was her passion, her vision, and the proof that she could achieve anything she set her mind to. But at home things were far from easy. Her husband, Tay Abiola, and his mother, Mama Funk, never hid their dislike for her independence. They constantly reminded her that a woman's place was in the kitchen, not in the boardroom. Every dinner, every casual conversation, seemed to come with a hidden jab. "Why are you wasting time on this men's world business?" Mama Funk would sneer. "You should focus on your home." And Tay often agreed, telling her she was being selfish and stubborn. Layla felt the tension growing, but she refused to let it break her. Her dreams were bigger than their insults. She poured herself into her work, determined to prove that she could succeed on her own terms. That determination was about to be tested in a way she never imagined. One evening, Tay dropped a bomb. He demanded that she sell Amani Solutions to fund his mother's lavish lifestyle. Layla's heart sank for a moment, but deep down she knew she couldn't give up on the life she had built. This was just the beginning of a battle that would challenge everything she believed in. But she was ready. That evening, Layla walked into her apartment feeling exhausted. The day at the office had been long, meetings, deadlines, and calls with clients. But she was proud of what she had accomplished. She expected the usual quiet, maybe some dinner waiting. Instead, the moment she opened the door, she froze. There, standing in the living room with sharp, expectant faces, were Tay and Mama Funk. Before she could even greet them, Mama Funk's voice cut through the air like fire. "Layla, how dare you be so selfish? Ungrateful. You only think about yourself and that company of yours." Her words slammed into Layla, but instead of making her retreat, they lit a spark of determination. Tay stepped forward, his tone calmer but just as heavy. "Layla, we just want peace in this family. Selling the company will solve everything. Why make life so hard?" Layla's chest tightened. Her heart raced and a mix of fear and anger swirled inside her. But then she looked at their faces, not with love or trust, but with a clear realization. They weren't thinking of her. They were thinking of themselves. She took a deep breath, steadied her voice and said, "No. This company isn't just money or property. It's my life's work. I built it from the ground up. I will not let anyone take it from me. Not you. Not anyone." The room went tense. Her calm defiance hit them harder than any argument could. Mama Funk's face twisted in shock and anger, her voice rising even louder. Tay's jaw tightened, and for a moment he seemed unsure how to respond. Layla could feel the weight of their expectations and anger pressing down, but she didn't flinch. In that moment she realized something powerful. Standing firm in her truth gave her strength they could never take away. Their fury filled the room, but Layla stood tall, heart pounding but unshaken. She knew this was just the start of a storm, but for the first time she felt the power of saying no to those who tried to control her life. That night she understood clearly. Her dreams were hers alone, and she would fight to protect them no matter the cost. The next morning, Layla woke to a sound she would never forget, the low murmur of neighbors outside and the crunch of something being stepped on. Her heart skipped a beat as she walked to the window and gasped. Her belongings, piles of clothes, family photos, her laptop, even her grandmother's precious heirlooms, were scattered across the street. The sunlight hit them in harsh angles, making the scene feel even crueler. Mama Funk stood there, chest out, a twisted sense of pride on her face. "This is what happens when you disobey family," she called, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Neighbors had started to gather, whispering, some shaking their heads, others looking uneasy. Layla could feel their eyes on her, waiting for her to break, to cry, to beg. But she didn't. She took a deep breath, stepped outside and started collecting her things carefully, folding clothes, picking up photos and handling each heirloom with care. She noticed a few broken frames, but she didn't allow herself to panic. Each piece she gathered felt like reclaiming a part of her life that they tried to destroy. Inside, after bringing everything back, Layla sank into a chair, exhausted and shaken. Her hands trembled slightly, but her mind was clear. Anger and fear swirled, but instead of letting them control her, she felt a spark of determination ignite. They thought throwing her things onto the street would break her spirit, humiliate her, make her submit. But she realized something crucial. If she let them control her emotions, they had already won. She couldn't give them that power. With each item she put away, a feeling of strength grew inside her. This wasn't just about clothes or photos. It was about standing up to the people who tried to take everything she had worked for. Layla knew the road ahead would be difficult, but she also knew that her calm, collected response was the first step in taking back control of her life. That morning, amid the chaos and humiliation, a fire was lit, a fire that no one, not even her husband or mother-in-law, could extinguish. After the chaos of that morning, Layla knew she couldn't handle this alone. Her belongings had been thrown into the street, her privacy invaded, and her husband and mother-in-law had crossed every line. She needed help, real professional help. That's when she thought of Amari Cohn, a well-respected lawyer in Accra, Ghana, known for protecting women entrepreneurs and standing up to people who tried to steal what wasn't theirs. Layla booked a flight and a day later, walked into Amari's office carrying every piece of evidence she had. She spread out company documents, emails, contracts, and proof that Amani Solutions was legally and entirely hers. Amari leaned back in his chair, scanning the papers with wide eyes. They thought they could just force you to sell? Without a legal claim? He asked, shaking his head. This is unbelievable. They have no right, none. For the first time since the confrontation, Layla felt a small relief. She wasn't powerless. Amari explained exactly what steps she needed to take. First, secure your assets. Bank accounts, servers, intellectual property. Make sure nothing can be tampered with. Second, document everything. Every insult, every action, every threat. Third, be prepared. If they try to escalate, we'll be ready. His words were clear, practical, and empowering. Layla listened carefully, taking notes and asking questions. Amari also reassured her that she had the law on her side, that ownership of the company was hers, and that no family argument could override legal rights. Layla realized that this was more than just protecting her business. It was about protecting herself and her future. By the time she left the office, Layla felt a shift inside her. She was no longer just a woman defending her dreams. She was someone who had a plan, someone who could act decisively and smartly. The fire that had started the day before was growing stronger. Her journey wasn't going to be easy, but with the right guidance she could turn this attack into a stepping stone, proving that no one could control her life or her company. For the first time in days she smiled, not because the situation was over, but because she knew she was ready to fight, and this time she would fight with the law on her side. Even with the legal protection in place, Layla couldn't escape the storm inside her heart. Every time she thought about what Tay and Mama Funk had done, a wave of hurt and betrayal hit her. The people who were supposed to love and support her, the ones she trusted most, had turned against her. She had built her life with hope and love, and now it felt like that foundation had cracked. Late at night, when the city of Lagos was quiet, Layla would sit by the window, tears streaming down her face. She questioned herself, asking over and over, did I choose the wrong person? Did I trust the wrong family? The sorrow was heavy, but even through the pain, a tiny spark of defiance kept glowing. Every tear reminded her why she couldn't give up, why she had to fight. In one of those quiet moments, her mother's words came back to her, clear as if she were standing right beside her. No one can take your vision if you protect it fiercely. Layla clutched that memory like a lifeline. Her mother had always believed in her, always reminded her that dreams were worth fighting for. That memory became her anchor, grounding her in strength even when her emotions threatened to overwhelm her. She realized something important. Feeling hurt didn't mean she had to act recklessly. She didn't have to yell, argue, or let anger control her decisions. Instead, she could channel that pain into strategy, into smart actions that would protect her company and her future. Each tear shed wasn't weakness, it was fuel. Fuel to plan, fuel to rebuild, fuel to rise stronger than before. By the time the night faded into dawn, Layla felt a quiet determination settle over her. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, filled with challenges and confrontation, but she also knew she was ready. The heartbreak had not broken her, it had sharpened her. And with every thought of her mother's words, she promised herself one thing: she would fight back, not out of anger but with courage, focus, and unshakable strength. The woman they tried to hurt was preparing to rise, smarter and stronger than ever before. After calming herself and drawing strength from her mother's words, Layla knew it was time to act. She couldn't just wait for Tay and Mama Funk to strike again. She needed a plan, a smart, careful plan that would protect her dreams and her company. With Amari Cohn's guidance, she began mapping out her countermoves step by step. First, she secured all her company data. She moved everything to remote servers with multiple backups, making sure no one could access or delete her work. Then she created a separate legal entity for Amani Solutions accounts and finances, so her husband or his mother could no longer touch the money. Every piece of intellectual property, the software, the designs, the client lists, was double protected. Layla wanted to make it impossible for anyone to sabotage her, no matter how hard they tried. But legal protection wasn't enough. She needed allies. Quietly, she reached out to investors she trusted, sharing the shocking story of her husband and mother-in-law trying to force her to sell her company. She told them everything, not hiding her fear but showing her determination to fight smartly. The response surprised her. People were not only sympathetic, they were inspired. Experienced entrepreneurs offered advice, mentorship, and strategies for strengthening her business. Some even offered emergency funding, willing to back her because they believed in her courage and vision. Every message, every call, every piece of support reminded Layla that she wasn't alone. She realized that the people trying to control her had underestimated her network, her skills, and her ability to turn adversity into opportunity. With each step, she grew more confident that she could not just defend her company, she could grow it stronger than ever before. By the end of this planning phase, Layla felt a sense of calm power. She wasn't just reacting anymore. She was leading, protecting, and preparing to strike back in the smartest way possible. Every precaution, every connection, every strategy was a brick in the wall keeping her dreams safe. And deep down she knew that this countermove wasn't just about survival. It was about showing that no one, not even the people closest to her, could stop her from reaching her goals. Layla knew that Tay and Mama Funk had underestimated her. They thought that by throwing her belongings out and trying to control her she would shrink, stay quiet, and give in. But Layla had something they didn't: courage, strategy, and a story that needed to be told. One evening she sat down at her laptop and began writing a post for social media. She poured her heart into it, explaining everything: the struggle of building her company from scratch, the betrayal of the people who were supposed to love her, and the lessons she had learned about resilience, independence, and standing up for yourself. She didn't write it to shame anyone. She wrote it to inspire others, especially women who were told their dreams were too big or that their place was somewhere they didn't belong. Layla shared her fears, her tears, and her determination. She spoke about Amani Solutions, her team, and how she refused to let anyone take her hard work away. When she finally clicked post, she didn't know what to expect, but she knew it was time to be fearless. Within hours, the response was overwhelming. Her story spread like wildfire across Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. Thousands of people shared it, commented, and messaged her words of encouragement. Women from all over reached out to say they felt seen and empowered. Entrepreneurs offered support and advice. People called her courageous, unstoppable, and inspiring. And somewhere in the middle of this outpouring of love, Tay and Mama Funk realized their mistake. Public opinion was not on their side. They faced criticism and ridicule, while Layla's transparency and honesty became a shield and a weapon. This moment was more than just vindication. It was empowerment. By telling her story openly, Layla had taken control of the narrative. She had turned shame into strength, betrayal into inspiration, and fear into courage. The woman they had tried to break had not only survived, she had gained a voice that echoed far beyond her home and her office. Layla realized something profound. Truth, when shared boldly and honestly, could become the most powerful tool in her fight for justice, independence, and respect. With the support of investors and the strong legal protections she had put in place, Layla began rebuilding her life and her company. She replaced everything that had been thrown into the street: clothes, personal items, her laptop, even her grandmother's heirlooms. But these were no longer just things. Each item had become a symbol of her survival, a reminder of the strength she had found in the chaos. She upgraded her office, bought new equipment, and reorganized her team's workspace, turning it into a place that reflected growth, power, and resilience. Her team watched her closely, inspired by her courage and determination. They worked harder than ever, fueled by the knowledge that their leader had faced betrayal, humiliation, and intimidation, and had not only survived but refused to be broken. Layla encouraged them, reminding everyone that Amani Solutions wasn't just a business. It was a symbol of perseverance, innovation, and belief in one's vision. The office buzzed with energy, Meetings ran smoothly, new projects were launched, and clients began noticing the renewed drive and professionalism in the company. As she settled into her upgraded office one evening, Layla paused and looked around. Everything she had lost had been replaced, and even better, it had been rebuilt stronger. The pain and anger she had felt were now transformed into power. She realized something vital. Revenge wasn't about hurting those who had wronged her. Her ultimate revenge was her independence, her growth, and her ability to rebuild something greater than before without asking anyone for permission. Every day as she watched her company expand, Layla felt a quiet satisfaction. The people who had tried to control her had failed spectacularly. Their actions had pushed her to be smarter, faster, and stronger. And in that success she found freedom. Her belongings, once scattered in the street, were now part of a life that reflected resilience and victory. Layla had turned betrayal into fuel, and every achievement was a proof that no one could take away her dreams or her power. She had not just survived, she had thrived. One evening, Layla received a message from Tay and Mama Funk. They wanted to meet, clearly hoping to intimidate her to show that they still had power. But Layla wasn't afraid. She calmly agreed, inviting them to her office instead of meeting at home. She knew this was her chance to show them exactly what their actions had created. Not destruction but strength. When Tay and Mama Funk arrived, they expected tension, perhaps fear. Instead, Layla led them through her office with a quiet confidence that made them uneasy. Employees greeted her warmly, some smiling knowingly, others working enthusiastically at their desk. The office was vibrant, buzzing with energy, screens filled with graphs showing rising revenue, and whiteboards covered with plans for expansion. Every detail spoke of a thriving business, a leader in control of her company and her life. Mama Funk's eyes widened as she noticed the sleek new equipment, the upgraded workspaces, and the team's dedication. Tay's jaw tightened, and for a moment neither of them spoke. Layla stopped at the center of the office and looked them in the eyes. "This," she said simply, gesturing around, "is what happens when someone refuses to be broken. I've rebuilt everything you tried to take from me. Stronger, better, unstoppable." Their mouths went dry. For the first time they saw the reality. They had underestimated her. The woman they thought they could control was now wealthy, influential, and completely independent. Every plan to intimidate her had failed. Instead of weakening Layla, their actions had pushed her to rise higher, faster, and smarter. In that moment, Tay and Mama Funk realized a hard truth. Trying to control her had only made her unstoppable. Layla's success was undeniable, visible in every detail of the office, in the happiness and loyalty of her employees, and in the growing strength of her company. They could no longer manipulate her, intimidate her, or undermine her dreams. The power they sought to wield over her had slipped entirely from their hands, replaced by her courage, intelligence, and resilience. Layla watched them leave, calm and composed, feeling a quiet satisfaction. She had faced their threats and emerged not just unscathed but victorious. Their attempt to intimidate her had only highlighted her strength. The confrontation had turned into proof that no one, not even family, could stop her from achieving what she had worked so hard to build. Layla stood on the balcony of her new Lagos office, the city lights stretching endlessly below her. The wind brushed against her face, carrying the hum of the streets, but all she felt was a quiet sense of triumph. She thought back to the long nights, the betrayal, the moments of fear and doubt. Every obstacle, every attempt by Tay and Mama Funk to break her had only made her stronger. She had survived, and more than that, she had built something extraordinary. Amani Solutions had grown beyond her wildest dreams. The company now employed hundreds of people, offering opportunities and hope to young entrepreneurs across Africa. Layla had become a symbol of courage and determination, showing that women could succeed, lead, and thrive even in the face of betrayal and doubt. Messages from inspired young women and budding entrepreneurs kept arriving, thousands of them, thanking her for showing that dreams could not be taken away if you refused to surrender. Tay and Mama Funk could only watch from afar, stunned and silent, as the woman they had tried to control stood tall and unstoppable. Layla realized something powerful. Self-belief, courage, and strategic action were stronger than any betrayal. Pain, when faced wisely, could be transformed into unstoppable power. Every challenge, every insult, every attempt to intimidate her had become fuel for her rise. As she looked over the city, Layla smiled. Her journey had been hard, but it had also created a legacy. She had proven that no one, not even family, could steal her dreams. Her story had gone viral, inspiring thousands, and she knew that her influence would continue to grow. The woman they tried to break had turned every obstacle into a stepping stone, every betrayal into a lesson, and every moment of doubt into triumph. Layla was free, powerful, and unstoppable, and her legacy had only just begun.